Property owners are taking the lead in cleaning up their homes, and that's saving all of us money. Plus, if you're a teen looking for a summer job, we've got the inside track on some positions. These stories and more coming up next on The Issues. Watch us. Welcome on The Issues. I'm Paula Moore. Property owners are cleaning up, boarding up, and fixing up various properties before the city steps in, and that's saving taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. Vice Mayor Dave Siebert joins our show along with State Senator Mark Spitzer from District 18 to give us an update. Now, this bill came about several years ago.
It took effect in 1996. First thing I would like to do is thank Senator Spitzer, because without him sponsoring the bill, it would have never happened. And I can say, from my opinion, it is the most important neighborhood preservation law to come into effect in many, many years.
Okay. Senator Spitzer,
Sure.
can you give us kind of a recap on what happened?
Okay. One of the interesting things about government is people often don't distinguish between federal elected officials, state, local. And the fact is that we all represent common constituents. And one of the favorite aspects of my representing District 18 in the state Senate is I get to work with people like Councilman Siebert and my own councilman, formerly Craig Tripkin, now Phil Gordon, and we represent the same people. Even though I serve in the state Senate, the councilman serves the city of Phoenix, these are common problems. And what we found was there was a problem affecting the taxpayers of the city of Phoenix that was not being addressed under state law. The councilman came to me back in 1996 and said, "Senator, can you work on a bill that will ease the problems that we have in the city of Phoenix when we have a property that, despite repeated efforts to clean up, the property owner will not clean up the property to the disadvantage of the other property owners in the neighborhood." This bill, passed back in 1996, lets the city of Phoenix, gives them a fighting chance to recover the taxpayer money that they spend to fix up the properties, and the councilman has worked very hard on following up and making sure that the program works.
Okay. Vice Mayor, what kind of results are we getting?
Tremendous results. We were getting about 45 to 50% compliance before, because what would happen, they would go through court. This is court-ordered abatement. We would use taxpayer dollars to either remedy the problem. Sometimes it's actually demolishing the building, whatever the case may be. And we were the bottom lien holder, which means when they sold the property, we were getting about 9% of our money back. It's not a very good return rate on your money, especially when it's not our money, it's your money. And so what we did is, after Senator Spitzer sponsored this bill and it was successful, now after the whole court proceeding, in fact the state even tightened up the way we do it. We have to notify the mortgage holder. It's a much more complex process to protect the property owner. But in essence what happens is we are the #1 lien holder behind taxes if we have to do it. The key here is these are the worst of the worst. These are the worst properties you can run across. Well, now instead of getting around 45–50% compliance, we're getting around 82% compliance, which means instead of dealing with over 50% of problems that never get resolved, we're talking 18%. That is a significant difference. That's why I say this is one of the most successful bills that have become law. And again, I want to thank Senator Spitzer, because without his help, it wouldn't have happened. And so people want to talk about that property in their neighborhood that's really a problem. I tell you what, this is the bill. This is the law that has made the difference.
There's one in every neighborhood. It just seems to be that way. And the neighbors, I support private property rights, but with owning property comes a responsibility to keep your property up in a decent manner. And we're not talking about being punitive. We're not talking about harassing folks. The city of Phoenix had never done that, never will do that. What they mean is to keep the integrity of the neighborhood and to impose upon a property owner, and some of these folks own property but live out of state, so they really don't have a stake in our community, to make them conduct themselves in a way so they don't harm anyone else. That's very important.
Okay. And it's not just working in Phoenix. I understand it's also working in Tucson
Yeah,
as
the
well.
bill is statewide, and there are neighborhoods throughout the state where this is a problem. I know the city of Tucson is using this, and we're hoping that, again, it works to the benefit of the community. And I think over time, as these properties are disposed of and the monies come in, we're going to find a new source of monies for additional nuisance abatement in these communities. So the monies, the taxpayer monies will be returned to the neighborhoods.
Okay. Now, Vice Mayor, you mentioned that property owners they're waiting to do this work.
Some cases, they're still reluctant, and in many cases, they'll wait right up till the deadline. But that 82%, even though they're right at the deadline, they get it done. It just goes to show you that they had no intention of fixing their properties until they were pushed to that limit. And the sad part is, it's like the broken window theory. You have a property that's in terrible shape, bad enough to where you can actually use court-ordered abatement. If we do not fix it, the people next door will move out. And as they move out, number one, they don't get the value out of their homes as they move out. But number two, somebody moves in that's willing to live next to this. What happens? Then the next person moves out, and then the next. And it's like a cancer. And if you don't, if people don't want to comply with the law, then something has to happen, something has to give. And we're not talking about the minor problems. We're talking the worst of the worst, the major, serious violators. I have some in my district, and we have dealt with them in the past, and you wouldn't believe some of these.
Okay, now what kind of response are you hearing from residents about the bill?
Overwhelmingly positive response, because most people, the vast majority of people, they take care of their property. Their homes are the largest investment they'll ever make in most cases. And because of that, they don't want to lose their investment. They don't want their children growing up in a blighted area. And there is a direct correlation from what I've seen between blight and crime. And so if they want a good community to live in, each one of us has to take our responsibility for our homes, for our neighborhoods. And so overwhelmingly positive support. You may get a negative person that wasn't going to fix up their properties, that this was used against, but like I say, we're only talking about 18% noncompliance today.
Okay, and that's really drastically lower than what we were looking at before?
Before, we were between 45 and 50% compliance, so we're talking over 50% noncompliance before. Now we're 18% noncompliance.
Okay.
Let me add that I first came to the legislature in 1993, and back then the neighborhoods weren't very powerful down there, frankly. I was a voice for neighborhoods because my district is Central Phoenix, and I'm very proud of the neighborhoods and the strength of the neighborhood organizations and neighborhood associations. But I was kind of lonely back then. Neighborhood organizations have really shown some muscle down at the legislature. They've gotten organized. They come down to legislative hearings. They support bills such as the one Councilman Siebert and I worked on together. And each year we have more and more victories for neighborhood groups. There were some victories this year on infill, giving neighborhoods more power with regard to properties that are causing difficulties, such as some of the liquor establishments, and a good resolution was reached on that. We had the Neighborhood Revitalization Act. We've really strengthened neighborhood associations, and we have now a lot more ability at the state legislature to do things that are positive for neighborhoods.
Okay. Now, what about the bill? Let's talk a little bit about that. What gives it so much strength that people are complying more now?
Well, unfortunately in life sometimes you need, they talk about the carrot and stick. You use the carrot, and there are a lot of people that are responsive to carrots. And we have bills like the Neighborhood Revitalization Bill, which is more of a carrot. This bill, the nuisance abatement bill, really is more of a stick. And it says if you don't do what you're supposed to do, if you don't honor your obligations, there will be a financial penalty that did not exist in the past. And I think what Councilman Siebert is suggesting as fact really lies in our common sense, that if you know that you're going to be accountable for your actions, you're more likely to comply. Just like a child, if you let the child play hooky from school and say you're not accountable, well, then that's going to be the result. You may find them doing things you don't really care to have them do. On the other hand, if they're going to be accountable for their actions and they're going to be treated in a way that they're accountable, then they're going to show up in class.
Okay. Vice Mayor, what's the next step in terms of using this bill for future challenges that the city faces?
Well, it's been used throughout the city, and it is, I think, one of the primary laws that is being utilized today to clean up everything from slumlords, problem areas. Again, it's the fact that we used to be the bottom lien holder. Now we're the #1 lien holder behind taxes. You can see the difference. With one, we rarely would get our money back. Now we do. As the senator said, yeah, it may be the big stick. We don't want to use that stick. It's a last resort. And like I say, 82% of the people are complying. They may wait till the deadline, but they're complying. And so it's nice to see an increase from, let's say, 45, 50% up to 82% compliance. Stop and think about that. Without expending any money to change the compliance rate that much, that's saying something.
Now all we have to do is get that same compliance with our traffic laws.
Okay, that's going to be a
Up
challenge.
Central Avenue, right, yeah.
What about the next step? What do you want to see happen next?
Well, what I'd like to see is as the Senator was talking about, more neighborhood involvement, because I consider this a partnership between the legislature and the cities, and I think they're moving more towards that all the time. And Senator Spitzer has been one of our leading advocates for neighborhoods. And as that momentum increases, that's what I want to see, because that's the only way we're going to take control of our neighborhoods. Some things we just can't do at a local level. This was an example. We had no power to solve this problem at a local level. He stepped up to the plate, he made it happen, and that's why we're having the success that we're having. And actually it comes right down to the taxpayer dollars. We are not expending the taxpayer dollars that we had to before, and when we do, we get the money back. It may take a while, but we're going to get the money back.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Senator.
Thank you.